Hello, and welcome to the Cultivating Calmness podcast. I have a question for you. How are you supposed to do it all? You hear all the time that there are people out there who just seem to be able to do it all. And if you're watching social media, you see a lot of people on there actually doing it all, right? They have and maintain the job. They have the social media that looks awesome and great. They have the personal life. They do the things with friends. Their kids are in all of the things. Their house is immaculate. Their chores are done. How do they do it? And how are we supposed to do that too? Well, I brought up social media because I think that social media, and you probably do this as well. I know I do. Is that the things we see on social media are the good things. Those are the good things we want everybody to see out there in the world. And that's not usually always reality. Now, there are some places and people on social media that are sharing like the real life nitty gritty stuff like, hey, my life isn't perfect. Look at all this crap that I'm dealing with. But for the most part, if I'm sharing pictures of things that I'm doing with my kids, it's smiley pictures and the fun things, and they're not seeing the, fights and the tantrums and the meltdowns and the stress and the yelling and all the stuff that maybe is happening in the background. No, everybody is seeing the picture perfect, like, look at us, things are great. But they're not, right? And I saw this thing recently on social media, the irony there. And it was related to therapy. You go to therapy, people come to me and we talk about all the things that need done in your life, all the things that need to change to be better, right? And it got me thinking, that when we are tasked with, or we even have the vision of having to complete those things and do all the things, are we just setting ourselves up for failure? Are we actually able to do all of those things that we think we're supposed to be able to do? And I want to say that no. We're not supposed to be able to do all of those things. We live in a world where everything is just, super fast paced, and there are a lot of expectations on what, you are supposed to do versus maybe what is the reality. So if we go back a minute to the social media, all of those social media influencers that you see that seem to have it all together, well, maybe not all the time, but oftentimes, there are people in the background helping, whether it's nannies or house cleaners or cooks or, aides or assistants or whatever, helping them to get some of those things done. Not always. Some people do all of those things and do it well, I'm sure. I'm not one of them. But there are usually other people involved in what you're seeing. So when they put out to the world that they have all these things going on and that their house is immaculate and that their kids are homeschooled or taught or taken here and there and doing all the things, and it just seems so perfect, keep in mind that they likely have help in doing those things. And you in your life without those things may not be able to accomplish the same exact things that they are because you don't have the same tools and access to those additional help that they may have. Now, I can't say that for certain. I don't know these people personally. I just know, what is likely happening in the background. If I had people helping me, which I do with my social media and with my business, I couldn't get all the things done that are being done for my business without help. And the people and the person that really helps me is my business manager, aka my husband. He does a lot of the background work, and I am very grateful for him in how he helps me to get some of this stuff done, because I know I would not be able to do this without him. I would not have this. I would not have the setup that you see here. I would not have the technical background and skills to be able to do this stuff. So I am grateful for that. But that's one reason I know that the things that we see are not always the things that we think they are. So when it comes to like going to see your therapist, or if you don't see a therapist and you just have these expectations that you're supposed to be able to do all these things, are you? Are you supposed to be able to do all of the things? I mean, if we even go back, it's 2025. If we go back 40, 50, 60 years to when our parents were raising us, if you're my age, I'm in my 30s, um, you know, or my grandparents, when they were raising, our parents, my parents, what was life like? Just thinking, was it a 2-parent income household or a one, income household? Depending on where you lived, you may answer that differently. Um, what were all of the things that kids were involved in? What were the needs of society and the needs of you as a household? Things have drastically changed. Cost of living is much higher now. And so, 2-parent working households are almost mandatory and required unless you have jobs where you don't necessarily need that, or you live a lifestyle where you don't need that. And so what does that do to like the things that need done at home? I know when I'm home with my kids, especially over the summer, I did spend time at home with my kids and other days working. And we would, my husband and I would switch those days out along with other, along with other help, and just being with the kids, even though they're older and they can take care of themselves, it's still hard to get things done. Those things still get done in the evening when I want to just relax. It's, getting on the computer and doing social media. It's doing the laundry and sitting there folding. A lot of, especially the last few weeks for me has been doing gardening related stuff. So where I am, could be maybe chilling and not doing much, I'm like cutting up green beans or pulling elderberries off of the bush, which take forever, by the way. So if you've ever harvested elderberries and tried to use them, not super easy thing to do, especially when you have a giant bowl full of elderberries and you have to pull them off like a little bit at a time. It takes a very long time to get just a few cups of elderberries. So that's just a side note. So when you have other things going on, there's a lot of time taken up, and taking care of kids, whether they're little kids, or big kids, your time's going to be taken up, doing things for them and with them and watching them and participating. And even, I don't necessarily always like go swimming with them. I am trying to get other work done at the house. It just feels like there's never enough time to do the things that we want to do. So how does that affect like our mental health? How does that affect our health? Are we putting too much pressure on ourselves to get too much done? Are the things that we're trying to get done necessary? Are they needed? Are they mandatory? Or are these just things you're putting on yourself that you think you should do or have to do? I can't answer all of that for you. I know I have these discussions with my clients, and there are lots of things that we often task ourselves with that do all feel necessary, mandatory, needed, and important. But we can't do them all, and we can't do them all at once. I often fall back onto this image and example that I would use with clients, where if you imagine we took like a pie, right? A piece of paper, and we draw a circle and we split it into, say, like 8 pieces of pie. You could do more or less if you want to. We'll just say 8. And this has to do with your values. So if you do like the broader categories of values, say like home life, food, exercise, friendships, community, spirituality, job. Um, there's probably more, but those are the ones that come to mind. You just fill in like those bigger, broader categories, and you can be more specific if you want to. But think about your top 8 values. You're going to fill them in. Then you're going to look at that wheel, that pie, and you're going to rate them. So if you put 0 in the middle of the pie and 10 at the outside, right, at each line, and you were to draw a line from each, slice of the pie, across, right? If you were like slicing the pie, each slice of pie, 0 would be near, the center, and 10, if you drew your line at the end, it's full, it's completely full. You haven't taken anything away from the pie. I want you to do that for each category and rate yourself. Like, how do you think you're doing in your life in spirituality, right? Do you think you're, that piece of your pie is doing relatively well? It doesn't need much attention. You might rate that higher, right? 7, 8, 9, 10. If you think you're like, oh, like I don't have a spiritual life, I really want to, but maybe I believe in God, but that's about it, right? You may rate that at like a 1 or 2 or something, right? Or somewhere in the middle, like, yeah, it's going okay, but it could be better, right? You're going to draw that somewhere in the middle. And then I want you to do that for each category. How am I doing in this area? Okay. And then I want you to take that pie, you're going to look at it. And for most people, the lines are going to be kind of like all over the place, right? Now we're going to take that and we're going to imagine putting that on a bicycle. So we take that and we put that on like your front wheel of your bicycle. And imagine trying to ride that bike with the wheel that has the jagged lines, right? It's like you have a wonky bike wheel. Would you be able to ride that bike really well? Probably not. You probably need to go get it fixed, right? Well, when we try to fix those things in our life, we're not trying to hit all of them at once either. I always say, like, pick one area that you think you can work on that may have the greatest effect in your life. Could be whatever you want, right? If it's I work too many hours, I need to have a better work-life balance, you may try to work on like, how can I do better in that area, decreasing my hours and having some good balance and some boundaries with my work. Or if it's spirituality, if I need to increase my time and my effort and my practice, maybe that will have a greater effect on all the other areas of my life. Or you pick 2, right? But we don't want to hit all of them at once. Why? Well, because if you change one thing in your life, it will probably change multiple other things in your life and a domino effect. So then when you go back to that wheel and you go to reassess in a few months, you may see that those lines have changed in multiple areas, not just one area, even though you decided to only focus on one area. And that's what we can think about maybe in our counseling world or even just in your life. Yes, there's probably multiple areas that you would like to change things in your life. And it feels exhausting and almost impossible to try to change all of them all at once. So is there just one area that you could change something in that might make your life better? Not only in that area, but in other areas across the board? My guess is probably yes. So thinking about what you can do and what you're able to do and what you're willing to do in whatever area or areas that is, and taking the other things and just putting pause. It's not saying you ignore them. It's not saying you don't do anything, but maybe you don't give it the highest priority of change, and that way, when things start to change and when you start to see an improvement in one area, you're likely to see improvements in other areas, and it won't feel so overwhelming and exhausting to try to do it all. So that's my kind of thought and insight for today. It's just, we can't do it all. The people who make it look like they're doing it all probably aren't doing it all themselves. They probably have help, whether it's their kids or their adults or staff. They probably have help. And you don't have to be held to that standard too. So just a little thought that I had. I'm guilty of this as well, trying to do it all, and thinking I have to be perfect and get it all right, or I'm a failure. And, I think we all have a little bit of that going on in our lives. And I'm just here to say, you're not a failure. Life is hard. There's a lot of weight and pressure on us to do all of the things, and it's just not something that's possible. Our ancestors, our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents didn't have the same pressures that we have today. And so if we look at it from that angle, things are different than they were years and years ago. So if you have the older generation talking to you about that, life is just different now. We have to look at life a little differently and figure out how to make life work for us in a way that's best. I don't know what that answer is for you. I'm still working on what that is for me. So for what that's worth, just wanted to throw that out there, get you thinking about it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I will see you again next week.